Boss Rush 540 day 5. Now this is an Ahune day, but don't despair, we have a solution for it. So this comp actually has a lot of different variations that you can run and still beat it with. I'm using a version that uses Murloc Holmes here, which I have not invested in, so it's fine if he's very weak. I've beaten really high Frost Anomaly with this. I've beaten really high Attack Anomaly on both Ahune and the shards. I've had 320 attack Ice Shards. I've had a 200 damage Frost Anomaly, and I won all of those runs with this so far. There probably are some variations of Anomaly and certain abilities that you could lose on this, especially if you lose your Murloc Holmes on turn 1. I've not had that happen yet on my runs. But because he is so weak, sometimes he gets hit by an icicle attack, and if he dies, then you have to put someone else out, which is then at risk on turn 2. So you do have to watch out for that a little bit. But this does seem to be a very consistent comp in general. The other thing about this comp is this slot that Holmes is in can be swapped out for a lot of different mercenaries. So I've beaten this with Baron Genn in that slot. I've beaten it with Nimsy in that slot, Khadgar in that slot, Medivh in that slot. You can also not do the Bwonsamdi thing at the start and run, say, Balinda, Genn, Medivh, or just a variety of different openers. But the general idea, and why I like Balinda Bwonsamdi, is that our overall strategy is you start with the 2 Ice Shards and Ahune. So we want to freeze each Ice Shard on turn 1 and 2, and then that sets you up for a turn 3 All Realities plus Roger's Master Tactician to set the Ahune to 5 hit points, and then you just finish him off, and you just have to clean up the last 2 Ice Shards that were starting from Frozen, and just try to get your party down to just your artillery strike mercenaries by the end to maximize your treasure odds. But for this comp, our full equipment loadout here is going to be Water Elemental, Arena Contender, Hate up front, and each time you bounce with Bwonsamdi, because this is a battle cry, it's going to refresh his abilities again. So the Elementary will get reset each time. And then we're using 3 moves ahead. That's very important for being able to do the All Realities play with Master Tactician. And then Scout Spyglass is important for cleaning up the Ice Shards at rank 22 for 40 damage. We've used this enough times at this point that I can confidently recommend just get this thing to rank 22. It's worth the investment. And then for Genn, we're using his heal equipment as usual. And the stronger your Genn and Rogers are, the easier the cleanup phase is, but you should be able to do it with substantially weaker mercenaries than what I have here. Also, the stronger your Balinda is, the easier time you'll have with the Ice Shard cleanup. We'll go ahead and get into it here. So your positioning kind of matters here, because you want your Elemental to be opposite whatever it's going to swing into when its Divine Shield is broken from Murloc Holmes. You see there on the Elementary ability, it attacks enemies opposite it whenever it loses its shield. So we're going to actually position like this and put our Elemental on the far right. That way, when its shield gets broken, it only swings into this Ice Shard. So we're going to shield it, we're going to bounce, and we just nuke. Usually I like to nuke the one that is going to damage here, and it seems like they always icicle on turn 1. We got a really high Frost Anomaly here, but this, I'm not sure how the fight would go if they melee attacked on turn 1, although that has not happened to me with this comp. But when they icicle, this Icy Rage goes off first, so it always hits your Elemental. Then he swings because the shield gets broken. You do not manually swing with him, you just do nothing with him, and then that will freeze this guy before it casts. So we'll just get hit by one of these icicles. It might kill my Holmes here. Okay, it did. So this is the first time I've had this happen. That normally the anomaly is low enough that he survives, or maybe it shoots Bwonsamdi instead. So this is a bit of uncharted territory for me. So we definitely want these two. And the positioning shouldn't matter now since we don't have Holmes anymore. He was the only one we're positioning was really relevant. So we just kind of do whatever here. Now, he can cast Hail to the Lord this turn, which is the ability that deals frost damage and then repeats for each... deals it to the highest health enemy, and then it repeats for each ice shard that he has in place, so it'll nuke 3 times. So it'll do like 600 damage here to whatever my highest health target is on the board. So if I were to put out either of these artillery strike mercenaries and he used that ability, they would die. So I'm actually going to put out Malchezaar here. So that if he does do that, then my Balinda will be the one that dies, because she's not critical to the cleanup. And because they have low attack anomaly, we ended up with an extra water elemental, but a lot of times you would not have an extra water elemental here if those guys were stronger. Okay, so he is going to swing into my elemental. So I'm just going to use this one. And it doesn't matter what we do with him. And then we're going to bounce. And because that Icy Rage is going to hit this elemental, I'm just going to do some Fire Ramp and AoE here. I could swing with this just for damage, but there's no reason to, really. So a lot of times you would have Murloc Holmes out here instead of Malchezaar. And I would usually cast the Divine Shield on Bwonsamdi, and that's because on turn 3 here, he's going to do the Ice Shard summon, so it's going to nuke you for the value of the Frost Anomaly. And we don't really want to bounce this turn, because if Ahune gets bounced after you do the All Realities, then he'll heal back up to the value of the anomaly. So whoever's in play here is just going to take this AoE hit. Because the Frost Anomaly is so high, it would actually kill my Bwonsamdi if I put him out. It's also going to clear out any water elementals that I have in play. With a lower Frost Anomaly, you would probably just put out Bwonsamdi here. If your Holmes had survived and your Bwonsamdi had a Divine Shield, he would usually be the one that you placed here. But because I got this awkward high Frost Anomaly and they killed my Holmes on turn 1, I'm actually going to just throw out Balinda here.
Do you take me for an ordinary mage?
And we are going to lose our elementals, but that should be fine. Also, you end up losing your Malchezaar here, but you ideally want your Rogers to survive this hit. So we do All Realities, we Master Tactician, and he is casting the Ice Storm like he always does. And then we'll just shoot at the lowest health one. These things are going to die to the AoE. So usually coming out of this, you would have Bwonsamdi here, and a lot of times you would even have a water elemental that survives. Or you'd be able to bring Balinda out on this turn and get a new one. In this case, I'm going to put out Bwonsamdi, and we might use Deal of Vanity if to force them to attack here so that our Rogers survives until we can get Genn out to heal her up. Okay, so usually we swing with Rogers, that clears all the small guys and Ahune. And then we're going to have 140 damage coming in here. So I'm going to ramp fire, and we are going to Deal of Vanity. Now we will have, if I Deal of Vanity here, they will cast their Frost spells next turn and deal like 400 damage. Which might be a problem. I might have to take a risk here instead of Vanity. So I really don't want them to swing at Rogers, but they might. And they're not low enough for me to kill. This is kind of awkward. I could force Balinda to die somehow. So if we swing here, Oh, here we go. We'll Vanity and we'll shoot our own Bwonsamdi. I was trying to think of a way to make sure that Roger survived and Genn came out. Okay, so now they're doing double icicle, so we need to buff up our Rogers and heal her. And I don't really care what happens to Balinda, but I'm going to use the even speed to heal her as well. So this is an example where like the strength of your Genn and everything is pretty important. We're just trying to get the smaller one dead. So we want to kill off our Balinda and then just finish with these two. Okay, I suspect that will shoot my Rogers. So we're going to heal her. And I don't want him to get too low prematurely. I'm going to shoot my Balinda. And when you're trying to kill off Balinda, just be careful about using even speeds if you're trying to get her low. Okay, that's good. Okay, so Balinda's gone. Now we don't have to tiptoe around anymore, we just kill him. So that one was actually one of the more awkward runs that I've had with this comp. And that was because the frost anomaly was just so high. But as you can see, you have quite a bit of leeway if your guys are strong enough. Now we missed artillery here, so this is a loss. I'm going to go ahead and do another run real quick though. And hopefully we get a more standard anomaly roll so I can show you how it usually goes. I should change my party order so that Balinda's in the third slot so I don't have to manually place, but we do want Balinda on the right here at the start. Okay, this one's a quite easy roll. So when you get a lot of blue stats, because you're using all realities, that's really good. Okay, they are icicling. So it might just be always icicle on turn 1. And you remember you don't swing here because we want the Icy Rage to activate the melee swing. And of course, if you're Holmes, if you wanted to just get those cheap early upgrades, you could just put some HP into your Murloc Holmes that way so that he would survive more of the time on turn 1 and you don't have to worry about all that awkward stuff. Now your positioning here shouldn't really matter because you tend to just swing with the water elemental and not do the divine shield thing anymore, but I do like to position the elemental opposite the unfrozen ice shard still. Okay, this is doing the highest health thing, so this is going to do like 300 damage to the highest health, so we could lose our Balinda here. Let's see, if we shield our Balinda, she'll take 180 plus a melee swing, so like 252 or something, so she will survive. So I can do this, and we're just going to freeze here, and we're going to bounce, and because she will survive, we can just do a ramp. If the frost anomaly was slightly higher, your Balinda was slightly weaker, she would just die here, so that's fine too. And this does just machine gun all 3 shots into the same target. It doesn't reevaluate who's highest health after each shot. Okay, so now remember, whoever we put in play is going to eat a frost hit, but because our anomaly is lower this time, we can just put out the Bwonsamdi like we normally do, and he won't die because of the AoE. This is still a slightly abnormal run from a lot of the ones that I've done, because a lot of times I would end up shielding my Bwonsamdi there because he would have cast something other than Hail to the Lord, and I wouldn't have needed to try to protect my Balinda like that. You could have also just let Balinda die there and shield your Bwonsamdi anyway, and then you would have sort of the standard setup on this turn, which is also an option. And remember, if you have health anomaly, do not bounce on this turn. If you don't have health anomaly, you do have the option to bounce on this turn if you want to like protect your Bwonsamdi. We're gonna shoot at the small one, and this is gonna die, so it doesn't matter what we do with it. Okay, so I could put out whoever here. I usually go with Balinda because it gives you the option to freeze. The only important thing is that you try to keep your Rogers alive here. Okay, so he's gonna die when an Ice Shard dies, so we're just worried about these two Frostbite swings, so they can't kill Rogers, so we're good to go here. We could just Vanity and then let these both hit him. That'll let us bring out our Genn and everything. I think I'm going to do that. And then we'll just swing at one of these so her thing procs, and then we'll get some ramp. Actually, I don't even have to do Vanity. I'm just going to do the Vanity, because I don't want to have to think about killing him off later. It's fine if you could try to keep him alive here. You could freeze one of them and everything. I'm just going to do it this way because it should be a bit faster. Now your Genn can also help your Balinda heal, so his summons will grant her health, and also her 4-speed attack is even, or if she's been slowed by one of those frostbites, it can make even her odd speed abilities even some of the time. I'm just going to bring out Holmes here though, because I want to get rid of him. And I'm positioning like this because I don't want my Rogers to do extra swings unnecessarily, and I'm going to protect her. We just want to kill this guy off. We're probably going to lose our Balinda here. I could swing. I could also, like, you have a lot of options here. Like, you can heal stuff, you can swing. I'm just going to do this, though. Get the board simplified, and then once all of our non-artillery strike mercenaries are dead, I'll just do the rest of the cleanup real quick. Okay, so I'm going to freeze that guy. And he's probably going to swing at one of these two. I'm just going to nuke with him, or I could swing. I'm just going to swing with him because I want to make sure he dies, and then we'll do a firing position. Alright. Okay, now we just have to be careful not to heal our Balinda, because we need her gone. So, okay, she's gone. I'm just going to freeze this turn. And Balinda will die before that summon goes off. Nice and easy. Alright, let's hit artillery this time. Now, the artillery requirement is kind of high. You either have to hit a double artillery with 200 plus, or you need 400 if you're only going to hit a single artillery. If you run one of the other variants of this comp where you use, say, Baron Geddon instead of Holmes, then Baron Geddon, you could leave him alive, and then if you hit a thriving bomb on him and that plus one artillery strike adds up to 400, that's another solution to get rid of Chromaggus at the end. Um, because there are only 2 enemies on the last boss, the Thriving Bomb is reliable. It always hits the Chromaggus. So as long as you hit 1 artillery plus thriving and they add up to 400, that would be an option too. Obviously, you have a lot better odds if you just have 400 and you only have 2 artillery mercenaries alive at the end. Because if you hit like Baron Geddon and an artillery mercenary off the first boss, well, if you just hit thriving and then miss artillery on the other one, you still can't continue the run. So it's not an ideal farming day because the artillery requirement is so high. But if you do meet the breakpoints, it's pretty good to farm. If you have the lower breakpoints, you could farm it with a little bit lower success rate. Or you could go back to farming day 1 or just wait for a better farm day. And obviously if you have like a crazy Baron Geddon that does 600, 700 damage from 1 Inferno cast, maybe a Geddon comp is the one for you. But if you don't, I think this one is one of the more reliable comps that doesn't require a lot of investment, and you get to use a more uncommon mercenary. So I'm a fan of the Murloc Holmes. Good luck on your run.